Good day, Christian Bastasa, Bachelor of Science in Criminology student from 2nd year Section Bravo. And this is the midterm video requirement of Group 6. We are going to discuss the basic principle of chemistry as a tool in criminal investigation, uses of scientific evidence, types of physical evidence, historical development of crime laboratory, international to local, and how to retrieve physical evidence. What is the basic principles of forensic chemistry as a tool in criminal investigation? Let us know first what is forensic chemistry. Forensic chemistry is a branch of forensic science that involves the application of chemical principles and techniques to the investigation of crime. The basic principles of forensic chemistry as a tool in criminal investigation include identification and analysis of physical evidence, chain of custody, preservation of evidence, analysis of chemical substances, and interpretation of analytical results. Number 1. Identification and analysis of physical evidence. Forensic chemists analyze physical evidence found at the crime scenes, such as traces, materials, fibers, and blood stains, to identify substances and determine their properties. Importance. It provides objective evidence. Physical evidence is often the most reliable form of evidence as it is not subject to human interpretation or bias. It can provide objective evidence to corroborate or refute statements made by witnesses or suspects. Number 2. Chain of custody. The chain of custody documents the movement of evidence from the moment it is collected until its presentation in court. It's a crucial aspect of forensic science and helps to maintain the integrity and admissibility of evidence in court. Forensic chemists maintain a strict chain of custody for all evidence to ensure that it is not contaminated or tampered with during the investigation process. Number 3. Preservation of evidence. Forensic chemists use techniques such as packaging, labeling, to preserve evidence for analysis in the laboratory. Importance of preservation of evidence. It establishes the authenticity of evidence, preserving evidence in its original condition with proper documentation of the chain of custody, provides a clear record of the evidence's origin, handling, and preservation, which helps establish its authenticity and reliability. Number 4. Analysis of chemical substances. Forensic chemists use a range of analytical techniques to identify and analyze chemical substances found at the crime scenes, such as drugs, explosives, and poisons. Importance. It identifies unknown substances. Chemical analysis can help identify unknown substances found at a crime scene, including drugs, explosives, and poisons, which can provide valuable information about the nature of the crime and perpetrator. 5. Interpretation of analytical results. Forensic chemists interpret the analytical results and provide expert testimony in court regarding their findings. Importance. Determine the origin of the substance. Interpretation of analytical results can help to determine the origin of the substance, such as the geographical location or the manufacturer, which can help to identify the source of the crime. Overall, forensic chemistry plays an important role in criminal investigations by providing scientific evidence that can help identify suspects, link them to crime scenes, and provide evidence in court.
Good day, this is Anessa Perez, Corpuz, 2nd year Criminology, Bravo, and I will introduce to you the specific uses of scientific evidence in criminal investigations. Some of the specific uses of scientific evidence in criminal investigations include DNA analysis. DNA analysis can be used to identify suspects, establish the presence of a suspect at a crime scene, and link suspects to victims or evidence. DNA evidence is often considered the most reliable type of forensic evidence. Fingerprint analysis. Fingerprint analysis can be used to identify suspects, establish the presence of a suspect at the crime scene, and link suspects to evidence. Fingerprint evidence is often considered highly reliable as each person's fingerprints are unique. Ballistic analysis. Ballistic analysis can be used to link a weapon to a specific crime or suspect by comparing the markings on bullets or cartridge cases recovered at the crime scene to those of a known weapon. Forensic toxicology. Forensic toxicology can be used to identify the presence of drugs, alcohol, or other toxins in the body of a suspect, which can help to establish the cause of death or impairment. Trace evidence. Trace evidence analysis involves the examination of small or microscopic pieces of evidence, such as fibers, hairs, or paint chips. This type of evidence can help to link suspects to a crime scene or victim, or to identify the source of an unknown material. Overall, scientific evidence is an essential tool in criminal investigations as it can provide objective and reliable information that can help to establish the facts and support the prosecution of criminals.
Good day, sir. I am Farahath Faiz, Bachelor in Science of Criminology, Section Bravo. My topic is all about uses of scientific evidence. Scientific evidence is an essential tool in criminal investigations, as it can provide objective and reliable information that can help to identify suspects, establish timelines, and link suspects to crime scenes or victims. Some forms of scientific evidence: 1. Real or autopic evidence. It refers to evidence which is addressed to the senses of the court. 2. Testimonial evidence is the declaration of truth or facts by an expert, a solemn declaration made orally by a witness under oath in response to interrogation by a lawyer. 3. Experimental evidence. It is a form of evidence wherein an expert or a medical witness may be required to perform certain experiments to prove a certain matter of fact. 4. Documentary evidence. It is any written evidence presented by an expert witness in court which is relevant to the subject matter in dispute.
Good day everyone, my name is Carren Hapay, BS Cream 2, Bravo. Going to discuss the types of physical evidences. Physical evidence is any object or material that can be used to establish the facts of a case in a court of law. There are many types of physical evidence that may be encountered in a criminal investigation, including associative evidence, corroborative evidence, biological, trace, impression, tool marks, firearms, latent, digital, and vehicle evidence. Associative evidence. Associative evidence is a type of physical evidence that links a suspect to a crime scene or links two or more pieces of evidence together. It is also known as connecting or linking evidence. Associative evidence does not necessarily prove that a suspect committed a crime, but it can help to build a stronger case against them by providing additional support for other types of evidence. Examples of associative evidence: DNA evidence and fingerprint. DNA evidence found at a crime scene can be linked to a suspect through a DNA sample taken from them. Fingerprints found at a crime scene can be matched to a suspect's fingerprints. Corroborative evidence. Corroborative evidence is evidence that supports or confirms other evidence or testimony presented in a legal or investigative context. It is used to strengthen the credibility and reliability of a claim or piece of evidence by providing additional evidence that independently supports the same conclusion. Biological evidence. This includes any evidence that comes from a living organism, such as blood, semen, saliva, or hair. Trace evidence. Trace evidence often plays a pivotal role in establishing a prime link between a suspect and the victim. It's a kind of physical evidence which locate the suspect to a crime scene. This includes small or microscopic evidence such as fibers, paint chips, soil, glass fragments, or gunshot residue. Impression evidence is the evidence created when two objects come in contact with enough force to create an impression. This includes any evidence that has a pattern or impression, such as tire tracks, shoe prints, or fingerprints. Another one is tool mark evidence. This includes any evidence left by a tool or instrument, such as a saw blade, crowbar, or screwdriver.
Good day everyone, I'm Dennis G. Ponteras, BC2 Bravo. Today I will be discuss the continuation of the types of physical evidence. Firearms evidence. This includes any evidence related to firearms, such as bullets, cartridge cases, or gunpowder residue. Digital evidence. This includes any evidence stored electronically, such as emails, text messages, or social media posts. Vehicle evidence. This includes any evidence related to a vehicle, such as paint transfer, broken glass, or fluids. Latent evidence. This includes any evidence that is not immediately visible and requires special techniques to reveal, such as latent fingerprints or latent bloodstains. These are some just examples of the types of physical evidence that can be encountered in a criminal investigation. Each type of evidence requires different methods of collection, observation, and analysis in order to be useful in a court of law. Physical evidence is of utmost importance in criminal investigations for several reasons. Establishing a link between the suspect and the crime scene. Physical evidence can provide proof that a suspect was present at the crime scene. For example, a suspect's fingerprints, DNA, or footprints found at the crime scene can establish a direct link between the suspect and the crime. Corroborating witness testimony. Physical evidence can corroborate or refute witness testimony. For example, if a witness claims to have seen suspect wearing a particular piece of clothing at the time of the crime, physical evidence such as fibers or DNA found on that clothing can confirm the witness testimony. Identifying the perpetrator. Physical evidence can help identify the perpetrator of a crime. For example, DNA evidence found at a crime scene can be matched to a suspect, providing conclusive evidence of their involvement in the crime.
Good day, sir. I'm Joanna Alcasid, second-year student, Section Bravo, reporting historical development of crime laboratory in international crime laboratory around the world. The first police crime laboratory was established in 1910 and lay on funds by Edward Lucard. According to Lucard's exchange principle, it is impossible for criminals to escape a crime scene without leaving behind trace evidence that can be used to identify them. That principle gave rise to the forensic sciences, which are the accumulated methods for developing and analyzing physical evidence from crime scenes. Crime scene investigation, which is often performed by experts known as crime scene investigators or CSI, involves involve the careful gathering of such evidence, which is then analyzed at a crime scene laboratory. In some cases, evidence gathered by CSI and analyzed by forensic experts is the only incontrovertible evidence presented at trial. The Los Angeles Police Department, the first crime laboratory in the United States, was started by the Los Angeles Police Department in 1923. On July 1, 1923, Officer Rex Welch of the Los Angeles Police Department was assigned to be the department's first criminalist and tasked with setting up a scientific laboratory to support criminal investigations. It was later followed by the establishment of Bureau of Investigation in 1926. The FBI Laboratory. The FBI Laboratory, first called the Criminological Laboratory, was established in 1932, largely due to J. Edgar Hoover's commitment to applying scientific principles to criminal investigations. Since that time, laboratory personnel have been recruited from such specialized fields as geology, metallurgy, mechanical engineering, mathematics, and other physical and biological sciences, and given on-the-job training in the law enforcement aspects of their specialties. The laboratory is divided into sections and units. The document section deals with scientific examinations of physical evidence and maintains reference files for use in conducting examinations. The scientific analysis section consists of several units which handle a variety of highly specialized examinations which involve chemistry, toxicology, firearms, tool marks, hairs and fibers, blood, metallurgy, petrography, number restoration, glass fractures, and spectrography. The engineering section consists of units which design and develop new radio communications equipment for use in the field, set up and maintain a network of radio stations for use in an emergency, and serve in a consulting capacity in a large number of other matters relating to radio communications. Also described are the special projects section and laboratory reference collections. In 1940 to 1947, a number of state and municipal crime laboratories were established across the United States, which forensic disciplines that included firearm and tool mark examination. Laboratories established during this time included the first criminology laboratories established in Oakland, California, the Indianapolis Police Department, or IPD, a fully equipped crime laboratory under the direction of a trained scientist, the first state crime laboratory in Wisconsin, supervised by Charles M. Wilson, who was associated with Woodard at the SCDL at Northwestern and who later became the director of the Chicago Police Department Crime Laboratory. The chemistry section handled all chemical and biological testing. It was that in 1960s, it was recognized that alcohol and drug analysis should be done separately by two separate groups, thus creating the toxicology and alcohol sections. In the present or 20th, including weapon identification, fingerprinting, document analysis, chemical identification, and trace analysis of hair and fibers, two newer disciplines that have become major component of the 21st century crime laboratory are DNA analysis and explosive investigation.
Good day, sir. My name is Mykee Geyrozaga, PS Criminal 2, Section Bravo. I'm going to report historical development of crime laboratory, local. The laboratory underwent several reorganizations and changes of names. It was reorganized on May 26, 1959 as a separate unit of the PC under Table of Organization and Equipment. T207 of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and was renamed as PC Forensic Laboratory. On December 1, 1960, pursuant TO and EO3, the unit was renamed as the PC Central Crime Laboratory, and on June 28, 1961, it was activated as a separate unit of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, pursuant to Special Order Number 453 GHQ AFP. The national headquarters of the crime laboratory in Camp Crame was constructed during the term of the then Philippine Constabulary Chief Brigadier General Brigadier General Vicente Rabal on December 4, 1968. The construction was completed on July 22, 1969, coinciding with its official designation as the PC Crime Laboratory, pursuant to Headquarters Philippines Constabulary General Order Number 23. The crime laboratory had continuous improvements in the following years in order to serve the people more effectively. In 1975, scientific equipment were acquired through the War Reparations Program of the Japanese government under the authority of HPC GO NR23, wherein 12 regional units were established. The PNP laboratory traces its origin from the fingerprint section of the G2 Division of the Military Police Command Armed Forces in the West Pacific of the United States Army. Organized in May 1945, later on, it was upgraded into a branch and renamed as Crime Laboratory Branch of the Criminal Investigation Service, the investigative arm of the Philippines Constabulary, or what we call PC. With the merging of the Philippines Constabulary and the Integrated National Police, or INP, on May 16, 1985, PCCL was redesignated as PC or IN Crime Laboratory Service as per HPC GONR 64, an ISO certified unit since 2006. CL maintained its certification to ensure the effective and efficient delivery of forensic services to the public.
Good day everyone, I am Fernandez from BSc 2 Section Bravo. In this part of the video, I will be talking about how to retrieve physical evidences. So what is a physical evidence? A physical evidence is any object, it may be solid, liquid, or semi-solid, that establishes that a crime has been committed. It also establishes a link between a crime and its perpetrator or crime and its victim. The collection and preservation procedures of physical evidence are described specifically for fingerprints, impressions and imprints, hair, fibers, debris, and soil, glass, paint, tool marks, firearms, obliterated serial numbers, blood and body fluids, accelerants, question documents, and voice identification. In a crime scene, there are two kinds of physical evidence, namely fixed and movable evidences. Fixed evidence are those evidences that cannot be moved. and impossible to collect in its entirety for delivery in the laboratory and subsequently presentation in the court. While movable evidence can be collected or moved and delivered to the laboratory for examination and can be presented in court in its original form. So, in retrieving the physical evidences, ensuring the integrity of physical evidence collected is a must, and in retrieving we must take photographs and video everything as we find it. Prepare a detailed diagram of the scene. Measure distances to record the scale of the scene and the relative position of different items of evidence. Always wear gloves when touching or handling an item. Bag any item that may be relevant, one item at a time, and seal the bag. Do not put items together in the same bag. And of course, secure the physical evidence. Physical evidence should be identified and secured as quickly as possible. Most physical evidence is perishable to some extent. It can be deliberately or naturally destroyed or contaminated. Ideally, each item of potential evidence should be bagged and sealed using a unique seal number. Sealing the evidence in a bag preserves the item for any forensic testing that may be necessary. Bagging and tagging, as it is sometimes known, should be done by an investigator who has received training in how to collect and preserve evidence. It is very important to take photographs and video of physical evidence before it is moved. It should also be mapped and diagrammed, preferably using GPS technology. Physical evidence should be preserved in a way that keeps it as close as possible to the condition it was in when it was found. Retrieving the physical evidence, the investigator must need to consider what physical evidence may exist that is relevant to the case. NHRIs may need to seek expert assistance when collecting and storing physical evidence. And lastly, collecting evidence at the scene requires planning and specialized skills. So, that will be all for my part. Thank you, and have a good day.